going to make grape jelly, Welch's grape jelly. Let me grab you a jar of it. Richard built this really cool, it's like almost on the wall pantry situation, and it holds all of my canning because we have a lot of grandkids, and this will all be gobbled up before the year's end. So, and we also have another pantry that I faked into a pantry in the front, by the front door. It's got salsa, pickled beets, and things of that nature. There's some grape jelly in here too. So lots and lots. First of all, I'm going to tell you all the prep things that you're going to need for making any kind of jelly or jam, but most especially jelly because you need to drip it. So we have rigged up this system with a suspendable shower curtain. It was the only shower curtain rod, the only thing we could use to hang our chili bag from. So I don't know how other people do it. Do they put a hook in it? I don't know. But that's what we use. I use old pillowcases, and I put my, they're clean, but they're stained from many jellies. I put my jelly drippings or cooked fruit, and then I hang it over here, and I clip it with one of these guys. And then it will drip right down into a big bowl. So you need some kind of situation for that. You're going to need pectin. Some people don't use pectin in their jellies, but to me, it's hit or miss, and it's so inexpensive. Why wouldn't you? So I always use Certo, and there's two types. They're pectin crystals or the liquid pouches. They both work exactly the same way, except the instructions for using them are a teeny bit different, but they do the same job. Then you're going to need a measuring cup for sure. You need your jars and your lids sterilized. You can probably hear this pot boiling. I'm sterilizing all of my lids. And some specific tools, like this is a magnetic lid gripper, and it's great when you don't want to touch the lids to keep it sterile. So this, you can get this, there's a little kit at Walmart, and I always kind of sterilize everything, like the funnels, and I'll put the soup ladle in here too, because I ladle in the jellies. And then my favorite way of sterilizing the jelly jars is in the oven at 225 or 250, and probably for a half an hour. I just leave them in there till I'm ready for them. And now I just have to find my ladle so I can sterilize that. I want everything so clean because I don't want anyone ever getting sick from anything they ever eat in my kitchen. I've got my ladle in now, and it's just as long as the spoon part of it gets, you know, clean, germ-free. And then, of course, we have our fruit. And today we're using Concord grapes. Now, these grapes look and taste exactly like Concord grapes. The jelly you make tastes exactly like Welch's grape jelly. But these are a type of Concord grape, and they're called Valiant grapes. And the reason for that is they are cold resistant, so they can grow in cold climates. So many people are shocked that we have grapes, and how could you have grapes? It's so cold here. As long as they're on a south-facing wall, fence, lattice, whatever you have for them facing south, that you'll have more grapes than you can handle. Okay, so let's begin with our recipe. This recipe calls for 14, wait a minute, it's right here, grapes, see, right there, 4 pounds of grapes. And these are, it's a stem and crush. Well, I haven't crushed them yet. 4 pounds of grapes, and put them in a large saucepan with 1.5 cups of water. 4 pounds of grapes is, let's see, 1 pound is 4 cups. So 4 pounds is 4 times 4, 16 cups. I asked Google, they said it's 16 to 20 cups. So in here, I believe we are 17 cups. So we're right on the money. So how I'm going to crush them, I'm using my immersion blender, and I'm wearing an apron because if it splashes, I don't want grape jelly all over my, I have a Kamala Harris t-shirt on today. Okay. We're just going to go through it. You can use whatever you want. You can mash it with one of those ground beef mushers, you know, those black things, but this I'm going to do that. So I'll be back when I finish crushing. So here's our crushed up grapes. They look quite juicy, so I'm not going to have to worry about getting enough juice or jelly. Another thing I forgot to mention is very important is sugar. And it seems like, you know, you need a lot of sugar for jellies, but you have to remember, you don't eat a jar of jelly at one sitting. You have maybe a teaspoon to a tablespoon. So you're going to need 7 cups of granulated sugar and 1 box of Surto and 5 cups of prepared juice. And I can guarantee we're getting more than that out of all this. So I'm supposed to add a cup and a half of water. So we've got our water here. This pan's going to overflow. And then we bring it to a boil, and we let it boil, covered, and simmer for 10 minutes. So I have a feeling we're going to have an overflow here. This is a lot of grape juice. These were juicy. And sometimes your fruit isn't juicy. So we'll bring this to a boil, and we'll let it simmer. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to cover it. Yes, bring to a boil, cover, and let simmer for 10 minutes. So my definition of that is bring to a boil, turn it down, and then let simmer. And while I was crushing the grapes, I got splatters. I lifted it up, and it was still running, so it went all over my stove. And you can see some right there on that thing, on that funnel, so I'll put it down there. Kind of funny. And this one too, look at that. Yeah, so it was juicy, man. So this is a lot of grapes. Some other things I've done with these grapes, I made a olive oil grape cake, or like a bread, like a banana loaf, delicious. And we were eating it toasted, and oh my goodness, it was delicious. I've made grape muffins using the grapes instead of raisins. And for both of those recipes, I had to pop the skin off the grapes. So I took the grapes and squeeze them. Skin comes off, and I only used the skin part. I did not use the middle part because, as you can see, let me grab a spoon here. These grapes are so loaded with seeds. Can you see them all? Look at them all. And they're really hard. And they're not that pleasant to eat. But a lot of people also take these grapes whole as is and make, put it in their smoothies and crush it all up. I don't like the seeds myself. I dried some in the dehydrator and made raisins, and they're in the freezer. So I haven't used those yet. So there's all different kinds of things you can do with grapes. So we'll let this come to a boil, and then we'll turn it down, let it simmer for 10 minutes, and then I'll be back. Okay, guys, I'm very close up to you right now. Hello. But I wanted to show you what I was doing. So over here is our boiled simmered pot. I'm turning it off. But because it is so hot and so full, I'm going to do something different. Richard suggested this. It's a good idea. I am going to bring my pillowcase here, see the opening, and a measuring cup. And I put also, hang on, there's something under here. I also placed a plastic cutting board there because in case it drips between the stove and the wall there. I don't want that. So I'm just going to dip it in here and bring it right over and dip it right in the bag. And remember, this is extremely hot. Normally, I would just take the bag and take the big pot and pour the whole pot into the bag. But for some reason, we got way more juice than we were anticipating. You may not. Depends how juicy your fruit is. And I think because it's almost overripe, because it's already November, right? You can always get somebody else to help you with this method. That's not that hot, I don't think, is it? It's just this little bit here. I don't want my bottom stuff. There we go. Right here you can see this rack. And I'm going to twist this pillowcase a couple of times. I'm not sure if you can see what I'm doing down here. Twist the pillowcase and then get my hook. Always be prepared. And then you lift it up and you just make sure, well, that your pot is right under your, I like the other way, but and I have to pull it down there. Perfect. And then I put this big clip on. Those clips are amazing. And this is my jelly bag, and you can see it dripping right into the bowl. So now, okay, we're all dripped in. That was really, really quick because I knew there was a lot of juice. So I've left it now, and it's a slow drip. So we'll see if anything comes of it. It's a little bit messy here, but this is what happens. I mean, there's nothing you can do. Just gotta wait and clean up the sticky, right? Making jelly can be messy, not always. Okay, so now I've removed my sterilized jars out of the oven. One thing I do not want to do is to touch the rims of the jars for obvious reasons. Jelly jars and our hands, no matter how many times you wash them, they're dirty, okay? So we've got our 5 cups of grape juice right here. Now we're going to take 1 packet of Surto. I'm going to have to do this off camera. I need 2 hands. I'm going to open it up and pour it all in here and stir it up. Okay, it's in here. Now, we're going to bring this to 1 boil. Bring it to a boil. Once it becomes a boil, we're going to put all our sugar in. This is how easy this part is. The only thing I want to stress to you, if you have the liquid Surto package, the bigger one, and it says to put in 1 pouch of the liquid Surto, it is added at a completely different time than the powder is added. So be sure to read your instructions. So I'm doing the version where the Surto powder is added directly to the juice. And you bring it to a boil. So once this is boiling hard, I'll be right back. I also added a couple of pats of butter. So I'd say about 1.5 teaspoons or 2 teaspoons of butter. So we bring this to a good old boil. See, it's boiling now. Then we add our sugar all at one time. Boom. And this is when you have to watch what you're doing. Just a moment. I had to make sure I scraped every drop out of the measuring cup. Jelly making is not when you guesstimate or decide 7 cups of sugar is way too much. I'm going to only put 5. Cooking is like chemistry. It is the closest to chemistry as you're ever going to get. It is chemistry. So there are reasons why you put the amounts that you do, and if you want your jelly to turn out, then do exactly what it says until you think you're a pro and you can do whatever you want to do. But I've been making jelly now for over, well, we've been married for 52 years, and easily over 40 years I've been making jelly. So, and I still follow the rules. Make sure you stir this up until all that sugar is dissolved. You can feel it kind of thickening, although it doesn't look like it. Well, yeah, I guess it is. A little bit, but not really. But while you're stirring it, it feels like, yeah, you can tell. But I try to keep stirring until it gets into that full rolling boil. You gotta watch your stove. I have these big old heavy pots. This used to be a bottom to a pressure cooker that we use, and it's always been my jelly pot. And then I got the white one there that I always use as my jelly pot now. But those are the only two pots I have ever made jelly in and would only make jelly in because I know them and I know how the properties of the pan. Because when this starts to boil over, you have to know what the pot's going to do when you drag it off the burner for a second or whatever you have to do, right? So when this gets a real rapid boil, I'm going to put there. Can you see this? It's supposed to boil hard for 1 minute. I have to pull mine off the burner for a second because my pot will boil right over and all this jelly will be all over the burner. There, I set my kitchen timer for 1 minute. And I will bring this back to the burner in a minute to make sure that everything's getting this hard boil. I'm going to turn it down a little bit just to make sure, because I moved it. So as long as it's boiling over here too, and it is, so let's just move it back a little. I have a very hot stove, and I know that. The reason we put the butter in is, as you can see, the jelly foams. Can you see that on the top? It's foaming up here, see? And we don't want foamy jelly. Putting it off again, looks like it's getting a little too hot. And there are 4 seconds left. Let me turn off the burner first and the timer. There. So our jelly is made. Richard said I was supposed to mention who did all the harvesting of the grapes. It was him. So let's give him an applause. Yay, Richard. Okay, now normally, if I hadn't added the butter, there would be so much foam on this jam, and I usually just scrape it off like that and put it into a bowl just to get it off, because we don't really want this foam in our jelly. Now, this foaming, cooling down period is 5 minutes. So I've set my timer for exactly 5 minutes. 3 minutes to go, and then we will start ladling this jelly into the jars, and we will call it done. Okay, so I try to start at the furthest one back because everything is hot. Everything your mother told you about keeping the stove arms away from you, everything matters making jelly. Okay, so here we go. Scoop this up. Some is going to spill on that tray. I could move the jars closer. Boom. And I'm pretty sure it takes 3 scoops. I'm just going to do one on camera so I don't make a big mess. Oops. I'm almost positive these jelly jars take 3. Yep, see that? And we'll take that out. we have a perfect jar of jelly. So let me go finish. So now I'm going to get, it can be frustrating with this lid thing because they stick together, but it's great because you're not touching it, but goodness sakes alive. So this one's going to go here. And I always wipe the jars after because you can see on this tray there's a little bit of drippage. Come on, magnet. There. And let's see, let's get another one. So I'm just going to carry on doing this. And then this is when they're, well, I need 2 hands, but you put the lid on and screw it. So this jar is all sealed, washed off, wiped off, and I stored them in the box that the jars came in. Okay, so we got 9.5 jars of jelly. These jars are different. These are more commercial jelly jars, or let me see, or jam jars that are sold in like bakeries and restaurants and stuff like that. I put it in here really sloppy, but if you can see, it's already gelling, and they close a little bit differently than these do, and they don't have 2 pieces to the lid. So here's our jelly, 9 jars, and this little extra will be the one we will eat. And these make absolutely great presents. Okay, I have one other issue. We had some apples in our backyard, and for some reason they didn't blossom, and they are our favorite jelly of all the kids, everything. So while I'm in the jelly making mode, I did the apples, I strained them, look at the color. Now I'm going to add them to here and quickly whip up some jelly. Problem, they're half the amount of juice we require. So what do you do in that instance? You take out a scale and you measure how many grams of Certo and half it. And that's exactly what I did. So remember, you're supposed to add your Certo to your juice. Actually, I need some lemon. Okay, it said to add some lemon juice. And I added half of the lemon juice, which would have been 1 tablespoon. And now I just have to wait till this comes to a boil, just like we did. Dump in half of the amount of sugar. So I managed to get, look at this clear apple jelly. Like you can practically see through it. Isn't that beautiful? And the natural color. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there was another one. No, we got 9 grape and 4, and this is equivalent to 2 of them. So lots of apple jelly. I'm so happy because this might be the last time that tree produces. So I am so happy, and it looks so yummy. So there you have it, grape jelly. How to make jelly, grape jelly, and apple jelly. So hope you give it a try. Thanks for watching.